All right, guys, I am going to be sending off another PSA order here on Monday, and then probably again right away on Tuesday before the end of the vintage sale. So right now I've got 20 cards lined up ready to go. I've got another 15 or so that I'm just going to wait for my last shipment of cards to come in on Monday, and then quick prep one last box for sending it out on Tuesday. So we're going to have some rapid fire PSA submissions. But without further ado, let's get into the cards that are going out this time. So we've got a Chicago Cubs 1966 team card. This is an extremely sharp card, and I'm uncomfortable picking and guessing cards that are going to be rated this high. I'm going to be honest with you, I wrote down 8 or 9 is what I think it's going to grade out at. And it makes me nervous saying that, but I mean, this card is absolutely sharp, really good looking. I'm going to be sad if it gets less than an 8. Next, we have the 63 Dodgers team card. If you saw my Dodgers video the other day, you're going to see a little bit of a theme here, at least for some of this. I know these 63s are really tough with the color on the left side of the card to get good grades. I compared pictures of this card to probably 15 to 20 already graded cards, and this is another one where I think personally it's going to be a 6 or a 7, but to be honest with you, it looks better than most of the 7s I've seen. So I think it has a shot to get more, but a 6 or a 7 is my guess. Next, we have a 68 Dodgers team. Again, I'm gonna have 4 of these team cards going out. The 68 one looks really sharp. Again, I compared many pictures of this card with other 68 team cards that have already been graded, and to be honest, this one looks better than most 7s, but I'm uncomfortable guessing 7 or 8 on a card that's this old. So I'm going to say 6 or 7 is my guess. But to be honest, like I said, it looks better than most of the 8s, or most of the 7s. Next, we have a 74 Dodgers team card. Again, 7 or 8, but I'm uncomfortable guessing 7 or 8, so I'm going to say 6 or 7. This card is really sharp, just like all of the team cards so far. Really good, really clean. All of them have pretty solid centering. And there's a few team cards that I really wanted to send out, but the centering was really bad, like cut off. So I'm not doing those. Next, we have the 78 Dodgers team card. This is the last of the team cards, and is quite possibly, very likely, the sharpest out of all of them. This one I actually am going to stick with my guess. 7 or 8 is my guess. But again, after comparing this card to multiple graded cards, it looks better than every 7, and it looks better than most 8s. So 7 or 8 is my guess that I'm putting on the books, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if somehow it got a 9. Next, we have a 54 Red Heart Carl Erskine. My guess is a 6. Looks better than most of the 5s. Not quite as good as the 7s, so I'm going to settle in on a 6 as my guess for this one. Actually, the only reason I say it doesn't look as nice as the 7s is there's a tiny bit of scuffing on the front. Otherwise, it does actually look as good as the 7s I've seen. So my guess is 6 on that one. Next, we have a Jim Hunter. Before everyone called him Catfish, I think. I don't know. It's a 75. Really sharp. I'm actually going to show you guys the corners on this one. and the edges, because my guess on this one is an 8 or a 9. And I want you guys to understand why I'm guessing 8 or 9. The centering is darn near perfect left to right. A little bit skewed to the top too much. But overall, it is a really sharp card. Really sharp corners. Next, we have a 68 Steve Carlton. Now, this one has a little bit of a story. I went into my local card shop and I was looking at a bunch of cards that were already graded in their case. I looked at the front and the back. I was like, man, this thing looks better than a 6. It got graded a 6. So I bought it with the intention of cracking it out and resubmitting it. And I opened it up, cracked it out. I started looking at it, and there was some wax on the front. So it got a 6 with wax on it. So I cleaned the wax off. I'm going to send it back in. Just knowing that I had wax on it, already graded a 6 before, I'm going to guess a 7 or an 8. I'm more comfortable saying 7, but I could see it getting an 8. It's a really clean card, and I don't know, like I said, there wasn't a lot of wax, but there was some wax on there. So next we have a 1959 Topps Jim Gilliam. This is probably the brightest, cleanest picture quality I've seen on a 59. The centering isn't perfect. Centering's okay, but not very great. And it has some rough edges, rough cut edges. But that picture quality alone, I think, gets it to at least a 7. I'm hoping for an 8. But I think the picture quality alone and the fact that the surface is so clean gets this thing to a 7. We'll see. Hopefully I'm right. Next we have a 55 Bowman Gilliam. Couldn't really find any already graded Gilliam, so I just looked at other 55s. I'm going to guess a 5. We're going to hope for a 6, but my guess is a 5. This one had a little bit of wax on the front that I was able to clean off, and a small little stain on the back. But I'm sticking with 5 as my guess, and we'll see how it goes. Next we have a 61 Yogi Berra. This one I bought thinking it was a little bit sharper, a little bit cleaner than it is. I thought it was going to be maybe a 6 or a 7. Now I'm guessing it's going to be a 5, and we're going to hope for a 6, but my guess is a 5. The corners just aren't quite as sharp as they looked on Whatnot when it was on stream. So that's why I'm going to dial it back to a 5 is my guess, with a hope of a 6. Next we've got Hitters Foes, 1959 Topps. This one is pretty clean. It's actually a little bit better than I thought it was when I bought it. This one was I believe, eBay one. And I'm thinking 6 with a hope of 7. When I bought it, I thought it would be 5 with a hope of 6. So we're knocking it up by 1 grade with a 6, hoping for 7. Next, we got a Billy Williams. This one is pretty nice. This is another one where it wasn't quite as clean as I thought it was. I'm going to guess a 6 with a hope of a 7. I bought it thinking it might be a 7 with a hope of an 8. But the corners just aren't quite clean enough for an 8, I don't think. The back looks really nice though. Not a lot of white on the corners that you can see at all, really. Just the front corners just are a little bit less sharp than I thought they were going to be when I bought it. But still good. Still happy with it. Next, we've got another one with a story here. This is a 68 home run leaders with Hank Aaron, Willie McCovey, and Ron Santo on it. Obviously Jim Wynn there too, but I think he is not a Hall of Famer, I don't believe, and the other 3 are. The story with this one is I also bought it from the same card shop, and I cleaned it up. It was graded a 3. Now, you look at this card and tell me why this card is a 3. So I cleaned it up. I don't see any surface issues at all. We're going to resend it in. I cracked it open, cleaned it up like I said, and after it comes back, when I do the reveal, I'm going to tell you the rest of the story that goes with exactly what I did to clean this up. So there's a little teaser. It's more than just wax, but I don't want to say anything until I see how it gets graded. Like I said, it was a 3. We're going to resend it in. Now we've got a Ernie Banks, 1969. My guess is a 5 or a 6. Now, I don't know how clearly you guys can see this, but you might be wondering, why are you guessing a 5 or a 6? That looks like a 7, maybe an 8. I agree. Problem is, on Whatnot, when I bought it, I couldn't tell that right here. Can't really see it in the sleeve at all, but there's just kind of a, it's not really a wrinkle, it's not a bend. It doesn't look like a normal wrinkle or bend. You can't see it at all even on camera, but it's got a little wave to it when you have it out of here, and that's why I'm gonna guess a 5 or a 6. We're gonna hope that it comes back better, because it sure looks better, but I know it's there, so I can't guess higher than a 5 or a 6, and even that might be a little high. Next, we got National League pitching leaders from the 67 Topps line. This one's really, really sharp. I think the only thing holding it back is the centering. Because of the centering, I'm going to guess 6 or 7 is where it's going to cap out at, just because the centering isn't going to allow it to go higher. If it weren't for centering, this thing could get an 8 or a 9. It's just the centering is not good. So we'll see how it goes. 6 or 7 is my guess. Just a few more left. Next is the 69 Roberto Clemente. This one came at probably about 1 grade lower than I thought it was going to be. This is another Whatnot buy. I'll still be fine with what I got it for, but I bought it thinking it was going to be a 5 or a 6. Now I think it's going to be a 4 or a 5. The corners are a little bit rougher than I thought they were going to be when I bought it, particularly this one and that one. So my guess is a 4 or 5. Hopefully it comes back and I get surprised and it's something higher, but 4 or 5 I think is a pretty conservative guess on how it's going to come back. We'll see how it goes, but fingers crossed. Next, Sandy Koufax. This is another one I debated even sending in because of the centering issues. It's just so stinking sharp that I can't help myself but send it in. The corners could, poke somebody's eye out. So I decided let's go for it. However, because of the centering, my guess is 4 or 5 because it's even worse than the other ones we looked at. So 4 or 5 is my guess, but it certainly has the sharpness to get at least a 6. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Very clean, very nice looking card, but the centering is definitely going to hold it back. 2 more left. This is a 59 Willie Mays. Again, the centering top to bottom is the only thing really holding this back. My guess on this is going to be a 6 or a 7 because of that. If it weren't for centering, I would be guessing a 7 or 8. This is another one where the corners and edges are so clean and so sharp that it's definitely got the qualifiers of a 7 or 8. It's just the centering that's going to hold it back. So 6 or 7 is my guess. Definitely the sharpness of a 7 or an 8 though. And then last but not least, one of my favorite players as a Twins fan, we got Harmon Killebrew 1968. This one is really, really sharp. Again, probably the sharpness of a 7 or an 8, but the centering of a 6 or a 7. So my guess is going to be 6 with the hope of a 7. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll come back better, but I just think even though the front and back are so clean, that centering is going to hold it back from what it would normally grade out at. So 6 or 7 is my guess. Let me know what you guys think of my guesses. Let me know what you think of the cards. Which one is your favorite? Which one do you think is going to be the highest grade? Which one do you think is going to be the lowest grade? I'm curious. I'm excited about this one. This is probably, out of the 3 orders I'm sending in so far, probably my second favorite. I think the second one I sent in is pretty tough to beat. I had some pretty monstrous heavy hitters in that one, especially with the Campanella. I'm not sure. I don't believe I told you guys yet, but the first order that I sent in to PSA, I mailed that in on the 13th. They received it on the 15th. That one hasn't even been checked in. All it says is arrived, but they haven't moved on past the point of saying they've received the package. And then 4 days later, I mailed another PSA order out. They received it on the 22nd, which was exactly a week after the first one got there. And on the 24th, 2 days later, it's now in order prep and research and ID. So I don't know how that one gets received, and after 2 days it moves into order prep and the first one is still sitting there in limbo. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully they didn't lose it, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated on that if I have more updates on that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And keep your eye out for more videos. I will be posting another one in the next day or two. Actually, not the next day. In the next 2 to 3 days with another PSA order submission. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.